The series begins with a girl named Sophia, who is 16 years old. She knows that most girls her age dream of living a life full of adventures, but her own dream is to live a normal life with an ordinary family. Sophia introduces us to her father, Pedro, who lives in his own world and works as a park ranger. We also meet her mother, Iris, who always loves joy, her older brother, Lupo, who is always attentive, and her younger sister, Phlox, who constantly disagrees with her. Sophia tells her family that the water in this place has unique properties. Phlox asks how she knows that, and Sophia replies that she read it online. Phlox mocks her, saying she believes everything she reads. We learn that Sophia's family has always been used to living in distant and isolated places because of her father's job, and this time they are heading to a new location. When Sophia first sees the city, she becomes very excited, but she is shocked when Pedro asks Iris to change direction, and they drive into a park called Selenkay in the city of Rio Vivo. Sophia asks her father why they didn't stop in the city, and Pedro explains that their house is in the middle of the park. When they arrive, Phlox is delighted by the warm air and happy that they are finally in a place that isn't Antarctica, where they had been living before. Sophia gets out and describes the place as a paradise for her family because they love living in the unknown. However, when she notices there are no neighbors around, she questions her parents, since they told her they would have neighbors nearby. Iris explains that the neighbors are about 1,500 meters away, because the ranger's house is always close to the park entrance. This frustrates Sophia, who asks when they will ever live in a normal house, because their new home feels like a boat. Her father tells her they thought she would be happy, since now she has her own private lake where she can swim. He starts convincing her about the place, telling her she can go diving and explore the many plants and animals around. Sophia insists she just wants to go for a walk alone. Her mother explains that the city is too far to reach on foot, and her father reassures her that they need to make the most of this moment together, since this is the start of a new life for the family. Pedro then points out their new house and suggests they take the boat to see it, but Sophia insists she needs to walk alone and promises she won't go far. Iris signals to Lupo and Phlox as if asking them to watch over Sophia. The two follow her, and Sophia realizes they are keeping an eye on her. She feels upset, noticing that every tree respects the personal space of the tree next to it, while she herself cannot achieve that. Sophia takes advantage of her siblings being distracted and decides to follow a different path away from them until she reaches Lake Selenkay. She feels an overwhelming joy as she gets close to the water, but when she looks down at the lake, her foot suddenly slips and she falls, hitting her head on a rock and losing consciousness. Moments later, she regains awareness and notices that the water around her is moving, lifting small rocks toward the surface as if carrying them upward. Sophia returns home, where her mother is deeply worried about her. Sophia tries to reassure her that she is fine, but her father warns her that while she can enjoy nature, she must always respect it. It is clear that all of Pedro's children know this rule well. Iris scolds them, thinking their behavior is careless, but Sophia insists she's all right, explaining that her foot just slipped and she fell into the lake. Still, she seems to forget exactly what happened afterward, though deep down she knows something strange occurred that she cannot quite understand. Later, Sophia goes with her family into the city, and when they return to the lake, Iris suddenly grows tense, saying she smells fire. Pedro immediately asks Lupo to join him, and Sophia insists on coming along as well. When they arrive at the source of the fire, they encounter three brothers from the Phoenix family, Rafael, Mikael, and Gael. Pedro introduces himself as the park ranger and informs them that camping and lighting fires are forbidden in the area. Rafael apologizes, assuring him they didn't know. Then Mikael steps in, demanding to see Pedro's identification to confirm that he really is the ranger. Lupo reacts angrily, asking Mikael for his own identity in return. Meanwhile, Sophia approaches Gael, greets him, and it becomes clear she feels an attraction to him. Pedro explains to Rafael and Mikael that interacting with nature requires caution because even a small spark can lead to disaster. Rafael assures him they didn't realize it was so serious as they are new in town. Pedro tells them to prepare to leave since the park is about to close. Rafael responds that they will put out the fire and leave, but Pedro insists that he himself will extinguish the flames. At the same time, Sophia speaks with Gael, feeling that the emotions she experiences around him are strange and completely new to her. She tells him that starting a fire here is forbidden, and Gael apologizes, saying he didn't know. Before leaving, Sophia introduces herself, clearly wanting to get to know him, but Gael ignores her words and walks away. At that moment, Pedro warns Lupo not to mention anything about what happened in front of their mother, because it could make her worry. The next day, Sophia gets ready for her first day at school, but on the way, the car breaks down. Their father reminds them that he and their mother used to homeschool them without ever sending them to school, and Sophia thinks to herself that homeschooling only made her feel lonelier. Iris whispers to Pedro, saying she's worried about Sophia, but Pedro tells her not to get ahead of herself and to wait and see how things go today. Suddenly, Iris suggests to the children that they return home and start school tomorrow instead, but Sophia reacts angrily, telling them she'll walk to school. Sophia arrives at school, and when she enters the classroom, she hears the teacher giving a lesson about the power of water and fire, which are considered vital energies that can both create and destroy. She listens to one of her classmates, Taku, who says his tribe believes water and fire are the origin of everything, and that's why they respect and protect nature. Gale interrupts, saying that humans don't protect nature, they destroy it. Sophia replies that not all humans are like that, and asks him not to generalize. Gale tells her that he sees what's happening to the planet, and Sophia answers that he's human too, insisting that all humans are guilty. She continues, telling her classmates that she lived in Antarctica, where her parents worked collecting soil samples, and she saw firsthand the pollution in the water that contributes to global warming. She believes that humans are the only ones who can change what's happening. Gale responds that humans who destroy their homelands don't deserve to live in them, but Sophia insists that there's always a chance for change, and people can fix everything, even themselves, starting with something as simple as not lighting fires where it's forbidden. The teacher steps in, saying it's a wonderful debate and a good way to start a successful school year. He welcomes Sophia and tells her she's not the only new student, as Gale is new too, and he invites her to choose any seat she likes. Sophia walks in and sits next to a student named Diana, who tells her she really admires the way she speaks. After school, Sophia leaves with Diana, who says she's very happy and feels the city offers many possible activities. Diana, however, explains that Sophia must have come from an isolated place because this city has a small population and not much ever happens there. She then teases Sophia, saying it looks like she likes Gale, but Sophia denies it. Diana then asks what Lupo likes, and it becomes clear she has a crush on him. The two girls arrive at an abandoned blacksmith's workshop, and Diana tells Sophia that people in town say it's haunted, and there are many legends about it. She suggests they go inside to see what the lightning has done to it. At that moment, Raphael drives by in his car, and Sophia and Diana hide so he doesn't see them. Diana seems surprised that Sophia knows him. When they enter the workshop, Diana notices that the Phoenix family is renovating the place, and she tells Sophia there's something strange about them, though she can't quite say what it is. Sophia then notices a peculiar tree and walks closer, amazed to see it because it's the first time she has ever seen a tree growing under a roof. Diana explains that this tree was the only living being in the place for a long time. As she approaches, wearing a mask, Sophia gets startled, and Diana quickly apologizes, telling her it was just a joke. She points to the tree and explains that it's used as protection against lightning. Sophia is shocked that the tree has never broken, burned, or been damaged in any way. As Sophia steps closer, the tree suddenly bursts into flames, filling the place with fire. She asks Diana to help her turn on the water to put it out, but Diana is horrified to see the water isn't working and suggests they run. Sophia becomes trapped in the flames and begs Diana to find someone to help her. As Sophia's fear grows, the water in the barrels around her begins to stir, and suddenly it bursts out, extinguishing all the fire. That night, Sophia lies in her room, remembering how since childhood she has always heard a voice inside her asking endless questions, like why she feels so different from everyone else, to the point that sometimes she sees her family as the ones who are different, not her. She had always loved being away, which is why she would spend hours swimming until she was exhausted and unable to think about anything else. For her, water had always been her only refuge. She is certain she's different, though she doesn't know why. At that moment, she receives a radio call from Diana, which surprises her because they agreed only to use it for emergencies. Diana tells her she has found an explanation for the fire in the tree trunk, describing it as a phenomenon called latent lightning. Sophia says her parents always told her that most forest fires begin that way, and Diana confirms it, explaining that changes in wind and humidity can ignite a tree from the inside. Still, what she doesn't understand is how Sophia managed to put the fire out. Just then, Iris calls for Sophia, forcing her to end the conversation and pretend to be asleep. The next day at school, Diana approaches Sophia, telling her she spent the whole night investigating and now understands how Sophia extinguished the fire. She managed to move the barrels with a supernatural force triggered by the danger she felt. She explains that there are many similar cases. Later, Sophia enters the classroom and sees Taku playing the guitar. She walks up to him and tells him his music is beautiful. Taku explains that he's improvising. Sophia asks who composed the piece, then apologizes, realizing he must be the composer himself. She tells him she spent so much time talking only to a penguin that she forgot how to talk to people since she had lived in isolation for so long. She adds that she's happy that time has finally ended because she truly enjoys living among humans. He tells her that he feels very connected to this place because his ancestors used to live here. Sophia replies that yesterday she saw him alone in the schoolyard, and now again he is sitting by himself. Taku confirms that it's just his nature, as he enjoys solitude. Sophia tries to leave so she doesn't bother him, but Taku tells her he's actually enjoying talking with her, something that rarely happens for him, since he too spent a long time without friends. He believes that's something they both have in common. At that moment, Gale walks in, looking upset as he sees them talking together. Soon after, Amelia, the daughter of Mayor Edward, approaches Sophia and says she wants to get to know her better. Sophia tells her she used to live in Antarctica, and Amelia responds that it was her father who handled the paperwork for their move to the city. Amelia makes a point of saying that moving from place to place is difficult because Sophia won't be able to make friends or form relationships. Sophia answers that she's never been in a relationship, and Amelia mocks her, telling her friend Vicky that Sophia has never dated anyone. Amelia then suggests Sophia come to her house so they can end their rivalry, but Sophia replies that it isn't necessary because there is no rivalry between them. Amelia insists it's in Sophia's best interest, since she's new and will surely want friends, and Amelia knows everyone at school. Sophia finds her way of speaking strange, and Amelia adds that Diana is also invited, then shocks her by saying Gale will be there too, because she saw how Sophia was looking at him. Sophia grows angry, and the water in the nearby well begins to move. Amelia steps closer to the well to see what's happening, and suddenly the water bursts out, drenching her. Later, Sophia returns home with Diana. After a while, her parents arrive, and Sophia hopes they'll behave normally so her friend doesn't feel uncomfortable and leave. Pedro and Iris welcome Diana warmly, but then overdo it, pressing her to say where she lives. Pedro even asks her to point to her house on the map. Diana then goes upstairs with Sophia to her room so they can study, and they begin talking about what happened at school. Diana tells her that Amelia is an arrogant girl who thinks she's the princess of the town because her father is the mayor. She shows Sophia a tattoo design she wants them both to get as a symbol of their friendship. Sophia is deeply moved and tells her she's her only friend, tears starting to fall from her eyes. Diana explains that such emotion is natural since the human body is made up of 50 to 75% water. She then gives Sophia a book that explains everything about water. As Sophia flips through the pages, she discovers it describes the phenomenon of moving water. She asks herself what her true connection to water is and requests that Diana leave the book with her. When Diana leaves, Sophia tries practicing with a glass of water to understand how she can control it, but her attempts fail. That night, she reflects on how she once imagined she had the power to move water, but convinces herself it's something no one would ever believe. She feels like she must be crazy for even thinking it could happen, or that she could tell the drops of water to stop and they would actually obey. But Sophia is stunned when she sees the raindrops left on the window truly freeze in place, no longer moving. The next day, Sophia goes to school, and Diana prepares to draw the friendship tattoo for her. Sophia grows nervous because they are in the bathroom, afraid her ability to move water will be exposed, and she asks Diana to change locations. Diana tells her she's almost finished, and mentions that when Lupo was walking her home yesterday, he suspected someone was following them. Diana tries to turn on the water, but Sophia quickly stops her, worried, and says that what happened at the well yesterday may have broken the pipes. Diana responds that what really affected her was the incident with Amelia, and she insists that everything has a scientific explanation. She explains that since they're close to a mountain range, what happened at the well is natural, and the city itself has many strange occurrences they'll just have to get used to. Later, Sophia goes with Taku to the lake and asks him about the legends and about the belief that its waters have special properties. Taku tells her that people believe Lake Selenkay is sacred. As he walks away, one of his classmates bumps into him, and his stethoscope falls into the water. Sophia shocks everyone by diving in after it. Taku quickly jumps in too, trying to save her, while their classmates watch in disbelief. Moments later, Sophia emerges with the stethoscope and helps Taku out of the water. Their teacher rushes over and scolds them for not thinking about what they were doing, since the water's temperature is extremely low. Taku struggles to hear her, and Sophia, feeling sympathy, hands him the stethoscope. Taku thanks her for saving his life, explaining that he can't hear with his left ear without it. Sophia admits she never noticed, and he tells her that no one does except him. He confides that he has shared one of his secrets with her, and asks her to share one of her own. When he notices her tense up, he quickly laughs it off, saying he was only joking. Later, Sophia is in Diana's room when Diana enters and offers her a drink, explaining it isn't free. She wants to know how Sophia managed to dive into the icy water without freezing, unlike Taku, who came out visibly weak. Sophia tells her that she lived for a long time in Antarctica and is used to low temperatures. Diana insists that can't be the real reason and that there must be some theory science hasn't discovered yet, so she plans to experiment on it. Sophia tells her she will never dive again, but Diana reassures her, saying she knows what she's doing. She then shows Sophia a model of the workshop and explains that the cups from their drinks represent the barrels they saw in the workshop. Sophia reminds Diana of the explanation she gave her before, but Diana tells her that when new questions arise, theories must evolve. At the same time, we see Gale, Raphael, and Mikhail performing a strange ritual to summon the Lord of Fire. Back with Diana, she tells Sophia that what happened in the workshop and what happened at the lake are connected, and she asks her to explain exactly what occurred in the workshop. Sophia insists she doesn't remember, clearly upset because she has to lie to her friend. Diana then deliberately sets fire to the model to test Sophia's reaction, and her plan works. Sophia panics, but then manages to control the water's movement and put out the flames. Later, we see Raphael gathering his brothers, telling them that he tested his power on Lupo and it affected him, which means Lupo is not the one they are looking for. He explains his plan to try his power at the bar's opening party to see which one of Pedro's children is affected. Mikhail had told him that Phlox behaves strangely at school and is always wearing gloves, so he suspects she might have a supernatural ability, but she isn't the one they're searching for. Raphael also explains that Aurora is the only one unaffected by his power. Meanwhile, Pedro and Iris tell Sophia that they will not allow her to attend the party. Sophia gets upset and asks if they're punishing her because she got them a parent-teacher summons from school. At that moment, the water tank begins to shake, but Pedro continues, reminding her that she didn't come home with her sister when they asked, and instead went to her friend's house without permission. Sophia argues that it happened a long time ago, but Iris insists they haven't forgotten, and that's why she can't go to the party tonight. Sophia storms to her room, upset, thinking that not only will she miss the party, but she has also lost her only friend. We learn that she and Diana had a falling out after the experiment that revealed her supernatural ability. Sophia decides to reach out to Diana, trying to find a way to tell her that she doesn't want to be interrogated all the time, but also doesn't want to hurt her feelings. She tells Diana she's upset because they haven't spoken in a while. Diana reminds her that she's the one who chose to ignore her for a week. Sophia admits she was wrong, but says Diana insisted on asking about the experiment when she didn't want to answer. Diana is surprised that her friend doesn't trust her. Sophia assures her it has nothing to do with her and suggests they go to the party together and forget everything. Diana refuses, saying she won't go. Sophia then tries to lure her by mentioning that Lupo will be at the party. Diana finally agrees to attend, but tells her she doesn't want to talk to her. Sophia replies that she still doesn't know if she'll be able to go because she's grounded, but afterward, she decides to sneak out in order to attend the party. She plans to go and return without anyone finding out, but Phlox catches her and threatens to scream and expose her unless she agrees to take her along. Sophia urges her to move quickly before anyone sees them. That night, Sophia arrives at the party, overjoyed since it's the first party she's ever attended. As she approaches a tree, she remembers the fire that once broke out there. Lupo spots her and asks what she's doing there. Sophia is surprised and asks him the same, why he's there and why he's dressed like that. He explains that he works at the bar. At that moment, Raphael arrives and tells Lupo to get back to work. He asks Sophia where they met before, and she reminds him that she saw him at the park and congratulates him on the opening. Raphael tells her he's glad she likes the place. A little later, Sophia meets Taku, who tells her this is also his first party. He explains that all the other parties in town were organized by Amelia, and he never went because they were always too loud. He then asks Sophia to dance with him, saying he came to the party because he wanted to dance with the girl who threw herself into the lake to save him. Sophia grows anxious, noticing that the drink in front of her is starting to react to her power, and she struggles to control it. Suddenly, the drink spills, and Lupo rushes over to clean it up. Sophia tells Taku that his talk about dancing made her nervous, and she excuses herself, saying she'll be back soon, though she's really trying to get away. Afterward, she runs into Gale, who begins to flirt with her, admiring the dress she's wearing and suggesting they step outside for a while. Sophia immediately agrees, wanting to escape the tension inside. Outside, Gale notices her nervousness and asks if Taku is the reason she's upset. Sophia insists she's fine and only needed some air away from the crowd. She adds that Taku had nothing to do with it, describing him as a kind person. When she notices Gale seems bothered, she quickly adds that he's kind too. Gale is surprised that she sees him in the same light as Taku, but Sophia assures him there's something special about him. She admits she admires the way he speaks, his gestures, and his confidence, and confesses that sometimes she feels different from everyone around her. Gale asks how, but just then Sophia hears her favorite song start playing and stops talking. They begin to dance, and Sophia feels a strange spark between them. Yet she's determined to continue dancing with him. When she tries to get closer, Gale pulls away, saying he wants to go back inside. Sophia re-enters the party upset, confused about what just happened, and wonders if Gale suddenly realized he isn't interested in her. Surrounded by people, she still feels alone. At that moment, Mikhail asks the crowd to participate in the party by having someone come up and sing. When no one volunteers, he tells them the lighting will choose. The spotlight falls on Sophia. As she tries to escape, Amelia grabs her and deliberately embarrasses her, demanding she show everyone how people in Antarctica sing. Sophia asks Amelia to show everyone how people here sing as well, and when they go up on stage, Sophia feels genuinely happy, as if she has finally managed to fit in with those around her. At that moment, Raphael seizes the opportunity while the crowd is distracted by the song, and decides to use his power to discover who possesses the opposing force. A water pipe suddenly bursts, as though shielding the guests from Raphael's influence. Suddenly, Gale grows weak and rushes out of the place, with Phlox following him to see what's happening. She is shocked when she sees both Gale and Raphael transformed, with fire burning in their eyes. Meanwhile, Taku checks on Sophia, telling her he was worried when he saw her leave the party. Sophia confesses that something strange is happening to her. Taku asks her to tell him, saying maybe he can help. Seeing her sadness, he holds her hands, trying to calm her. Sophia wishes she could tell him the truth, but decides to keep it hidden. Taku then says his aunt always tells him there are things we cannot understand, but that doesn't mean we should deny them. We must learn to live with them, no matter how strange they are. Sophia smiles and says his aunt sounds very optimistic. He explains that she is a wise woman and one of the region's indigenous people, and that many people travel from across the world to meet her, because she says all the answers people seek can be found here in nature. Meanwhile, Gale sits near a fire, as if regaining his strength, telling his brothers that when the water hit him, it felt like all the fire inside his body was extinguished. He lashes out at Raphael, saying he never should have tested his power on everyone present. Raphael insists they must reach Aurora, and that none of them are helping him think clearly. Gale accuses him of acting recklessly, but Raphael replies that Gale should be thanking him for intervening before Phlox exposed him. Michael points out that the entire family is strange, and since they've confirmed that Phlox and Lupo aren't the ones with supernatural powers, they must investigate Pedro, Iris, and Sophia as well. Gale suggests leaving the task to him, refusing to let them test their powers on the townspeople. On her way back, Sophia decides to confess to her siblings that ever since arriving here, she's felt something strange happening with the water. She reminds them how she fell into the lake and came home without a single injury, leaving everyone baffled, and tells them about the fire in the city with Deanna that went out when she panicked. She explains how she told the raindrops to stop, and they did, and what happened with Amelia and at the party, things she cannot explain. She pleads with them to say something. Phlox tells her they need to talk to their parents. Sophia is shocked, asking how she can tell them she controls water, and they want her to go to their parents instead of helping her. She storms off, upset. Phlox tells Lupo they must tell their parents what happened, but Lupo asks for time to process, saying they've spent 15 years not knowing what makes Sophia special, and now they finally do. He runs after her, reassuring her they won't say anything to their parents, and suggesting that maybe the water system was just broken, meaning she had nothing to do with what happened at the party. Phlox approaches them, and Sophia asks her opinion about what's happening, reproaching her for insisting on telling their parents. Sophia tries to explain that she wants to tell them because they asked her siblings to keep an eye on her, but she stops herself and instead says she wants to tell them because they're the only ones who could truly help her and explain why she has this extraordinary power. Sophia assures them that everything happening to her is real and that she can control water, but she doesn't want their parents to know yet because once they do, their fear will only make them restrict her even more. She promises she'll tell them herself, but only once she understands what's happening to her. Lupo gives her one day. The next day, Sophia goes to school on her day off and meets with Deanna, telling her she agrees to let her help figure out what's going on. Diana asks why she chose this place, and Sophia explains that she chose it because she could have hurt Amelia when the well exploded in her face. Diana asks her to stand in the same spot and questions whether she was looking at the well or at Amelia at that moment. Sophia insists she wasn't focused on anything in particular. She just wanted Amelia to stop talking. Diana asks how she felt then, and Sophia says she was annoyed and shocked because she suddenly started hearing a strange noise, as if water was moving violently. They head to the bar to continue their conversation, where Diana explains that every time Sophia managed to control water, she was experiencing a strong emotion: embarrassment, fear, or happiness. At that moment, Gale approaches them, greeting Sophia, who notices he looks unwell. He tells her he has a cold. Diana, however, is suspicious of his appearance and the way he looks at Sophia. Sophia confesses that she tried to get closer to him at the party, but he pushed her away. Diana scolds her for only telling her this now, then resumes explaining her theory. Water reacts when Sophia's emotions are strong, as if her mood influences the state of the water, and a part of her body warns her of what's coming, like the sounds she hears. Sophia grows anxious, realizing she must suppress her emotions, fearing she could flood the entire city. Diana advises her to try to control her feelings until they find a way to manage her powers. At that moment, a drop of water falls on Sophia, startling her, and she runs off, forgetting the encyclopedia of water. Later, Sophia meets Diana again at school, where Diana tells her that unfortunately, she failed to find a scientific explanation for what's happening. When she researched hydrokinesis, she discovered Sophia's case is unique. Sophia gets upset, saying she doesn't want to be unique. She only wants to learn how to handle what's happening to her. Diana calms her, assuring her she just needs time. But Sophia insists she doesn't have time because she promised her siblings one day before they tell their parents. She decides she needs another way to understand her powers and asks Diana about Taku's aunt. Diana explains that she's a seer who knows about everything and agrees to let Sophia visit her until she can find an explanation herself. Later, we see Phlox talking with Lupo, telling him she felt something strange at the party. Lupo asks if she suddenly felt heat and dizziness. Phlox is surprised and asks how he knew. Lupo explains that he experienced the same thing when he went for a job interview with Raphael. Phlox then remembers that Raphael had locked her in a room and interrogated her, and she can't recall exactly what she said, as if he erased her memory. At that moment, Sophia arrives and tells them that Taku invited her to his house to study. Lupo reminds her that she's grounded and not allowed to go out, but Sophia insists their father only forbade recreational outings, not study sessions. When Sophia arrives at Taku's house, she meets his aunt, Navira, who says Taku told her Sophia has spent most of her life in nature reserves because of her parents' work, and she finds her life fascinating. Sophia corrects her, saying her life has been filled with loneliness, not excitement, because she has lived far away from people for so long. Navira asks Taku to leave them alone, then continues speaking with Sophia, explaining that life in nature requires solitude and reflection for someone to truly know themselves. Sophia admits she feels a strange sense of comfort with Navira, as if she's known her for years. Navira tells her that fear and lack of trust are what prevent people from connecting with those around them. Sophia looks at some photos and notices one of a young man named Patrick. Navira explains that he was a friend of hers years ago, but because of his love for traveling, they haven't seen each other in a long time. Sophia points out that what caught her attention was the figure of a woman appearing beside Patrick in the photo. Navira tells her it's just a reflection of sunlight. Navira then asks Sophia why she came to her. Nervous, Sophia says she probably won't have answers to her questions. Navira explains that sometimes the problem lies in the questions, not the answers. Sophia becomes agitated, wanting to scream but unable to speak, and the water around them begins to move because of her emotions. Meanwhile, Gale flips through the encyclopedia of water and realizes that Sophia is the one with the supernatural gift. He decides to burn the book. Back with Navira, she asks Sophia to state her question, placing a feather in a bowl of water. The feather begins to move, and when Sophia notices, she asks how Navira did that. Navira tells her that she was the one who moved it. She calms Sophia, helping her control her breathing. Sophia asks why this is happening specifically to her. Navira explains that every human being is born with a gift. Then we see Pedro and Iris talking with Lupo and Phlox, telling them this isn't the first time they've come to the city of Rio Vivo. They were here 15 years ago, when Sophia was entrusted to them, and they were asked to raise her like any ordinary family. Phlox asks if they knew back then that Sophia had the ability to control water. Pedro assures them they only found out recently. 15 years ago, they were simply told to protect her. Iris explains that they kept certain things from them because they were just children. But now, like them, she also wants to better understand what's happening to Sophia. She says they tried contacting the ones who gave her to them, but no one responded. Phlox then asks if their task is to protect Sophia from the Phoenix family, since they also possess supernatural powers and she herself had been subjected to something like hypnosis. Iris answers that it's possible the Phoenix family has powers like theirs. Phlox grows upset, believing they were unique and that no one else was like them. But Iris explains there are many people with gifts and special missions. She tells them their purpose is to bring balance between humans and nature, and she suspects the Phoenix family's mission is somehow connected to Sophia, though she can't yet understand how. She adds that she must contact Navira because she was the one who assigned them this mission. Meanwhile, Navira tells Sophia that she once knew someone like her, with a power connected to water, and all he did was accept what was happening to him. Sophia becomes anxious, insisting that's impossible for her because she doesn't know how to handle her power and fears causing an explosion or hurting someone. She's also terrified of telling her parents because they care so much about her that if they found out she had a supernatural ability, they'd prevent her from doing many things she loves. She feels discouraged when she notices the water around her moving again due to her emotions. Navira tells her she doesn't have all the answers to her questions, but what she can do is help ease the burden she's carrying now. The next day, Sophia decides to confess to Iris that she met someone who understands what's happening to her. Iris asks who this person is, and Sophia tells her it's Taku's aunt. She explains that Navira was able to help her and restore her confidence, telling her her power is a gift and that she can teach her how to control it. Sophia is surprised that Iris allowed her to visit Navira's house, since she had always forbidden her from interacting with strangers. Sophia insists that Navira isn't a stranger. She's Taku's aunt. Iris assures her she agrees because Navira might truly help her, and she doesn't want Sophia to feel alone. This surprises Sophia even more because it's the first time she has ever seen Iris treat someone this way. Then we see Iris and Pedro meeting with Navira, reproaching her for contacting Sophia before reaching out to them. Navira insists she did it because they handled things wrong from the very beginning when they returned to the city, and she explains that their actions put Sophia at great risk. They assure her they only did it to protect Sophia, since she had always longed to make friends and they were afraid she would run away from them. Iris asks if she knows anything about the Phoenix family, because they suspect they aren't ordinary humans. Navira tries to reassure them and tells them to leave that matter to her. At that moment, Sophia arrives with Taku, and Pedro embraces her as if saying goodbye. Sophia reassures him that she's only leaving home for a few days, nothing more. Navira then takes her and begins to teach her more about her power, telling her that in time, she will be able to do extraordinary things with it. She instructs Sophia to close her eyes and feel the breeze, the sound, and the scent of the nearby tree. Her first lesson is patience, that she must never rush, but instead wait and endure whatever comes. With time, she will be able to connect with everything around her, learn to live in harmony, and achieve balance. Sophia closes her eyes and suddenly sees someone falling into the water, bleeding. She opens them again, disturbed, and tells Navira she can't do it. Navira explains she doesn't have to succeed all at once. She calms her and asks her to return to training. Over the following days, we see Navira teaching Sophia how to connect with nature, putting her through balance exercises until she succeeds. Eventually, Sophia gains control over her ability to manipulate water. Later, Sophia prepares to return home and notices an old book in Navira's library. She begins flipping through it, but Navira arrives and takes it from her, telling her that Lupo is waiting for her in the forest. On her way there, Sophia recalls Navira's advice to follow her instincts and avoid any place with fire. When she arrives at the spot where she's supposed to meet Lupo, she realizes he isn't there. She sends him a message, asking that if he isn't going to meet her, he should tell her so she can continue on her own. Lupo is in the forest when Mikhail and Raphael appear, using their powers, and he is clearly frightened. Meanwhile, Sophia receives a message from Gale, asking her to meet him because he has important things to tell her. Back at the bar, Mikhail and Raphael confront Gale, criticizing him for not being with them. Gale responds that he had more important matters to attend to. At that same moment, Sophia heads out. Elsewhere, Iris and Pedro are searching for her in the forest, and Pedro begins blaming Iris, saying he never wanted to return to the city and she insisted. Iris tells him it isn't her fault since Sophia had already run away from them several times before. Pedro apologizes, explaining that he's tense and doesn't know what to do. Back with Mikhail and Raphael, they surround Sophia like hunters with their prey. Raphael asks if she minds being called Aurora, which leaves Sophia confused as she insists she isn't Aurora. Raphael asks why she came back after so many years and explains that her family, like his, possesses supernatural powers. He shocks her by saying the people who raised her are not her real family. Sophia insists she doesn't know what he's talking about. Raphael then decides to use his power to test her. Sophia grows weak and nearly loses consciousness, but Gale intervenes, reminding Raphael that he promised not to use that method. Raphael insists she is Aurora's, while Sophia pretends to be affected by his power in order to mislead them. At that moment, Sophia manages to gather her strength and extinguish the fire. Later, Pedro and Iris return home and are shocked to find Lupo injured. He tells them the Phoenix family caught him searching their office and decided to punish him. Iris immediately asks Phlox to stop sharpening her nails, and we realize her power lies in them. They begin considering contacting the mayor to help them find Sophia. Just then, Sophia walks in. When she sees Lupo, she grows worried and asks what happened to him. Iris tries to cover it up, saying he fell and got hurt, but Sophia doesn't believe her because she can see the burns on his body. Lupo reassures her he's fine, and Pedro asks where she was. Sophia explains that when Lupo didn't show up, she decided to walk alone. She goes up to her room, thinking about calling Gale, but then decides against it, feeling like everything between them ended before it even began. Just then, she receives a message from him asking to talk. Sophia replies that she doesn't know how she can ever trust him again. Gale insists he can't fully trust her either and says he didn't approve of what Raphael did. He apologizes, but Sophia, upset, asks what she ever did to make him distrust her, blaming him for inviting her to talk only for his brothers to be there too. She tells him she wants to understand what happened, but she can't believe him. Gale asks to meet in person so they can talk face to face. Sophia refuses, asking why his brother said her family was like theirs. Gale insists her family has been hiding something important from her. He asks if she's ever wondered why they kept her living in isolated places all her life and never revealed their own powers. He warns her not to trust them. The next day, Navira meets with Iris and Pedro, telling them she discovered the truth about the Phoenix family and urging them to flee the city. She explains that, like them, the Phoenix are carrying out a mission and are tracking Sophia. Iris asks what information they have that could help protect her. Navira reveals that the Phoenix are known as the Brothers of Fire and that they were sent by Sophia's uncle. Sophia returns home, shocked to find her family preparing to move to another reserve. Gale's words echo in her mind, and she demands they tell her the truth. Pedro insists it's just their job and they must relocate to another park. Sophia presses them, asking who they really are, already certain they're lying. She refuses to leave until they tell her the truth. Pedro loses his patience, telling her they'll move whether she likes it or not. Iris approaches, promising to explain everything on the way. Sophia breaks down, insisting she can't leave because she finally has a friend in this city. Afterward, she decides to run away from home. We then go back in time and learn that Aurora, Sophia's mother, possessed supernatural powers connected to nature. She fell in love with an artist named Patrick, and when she became pregnant with Sophia, she chose to leave him, knowing he wouldn't be able to protect her. She asked Navira to help hide her daughter from the city and let her live an ordinary life. Back in the present, Sophia enters the bar and tells Gale that she wants to know the truth. He, Mikhail, and Raphael surround her, performing a fire-summoning ritual and trapping her between them. At that moment, Navira arrives, extinguishes the flames, and tells them that Sophia is not Aurora, the one they are searching for. Raphael demands to know who she really is, but suddenly Sophia manages to use her power, overpowering him and escaping with Navira. They flee to a distant cave, where Sophia begins asking for the truth, desperate to know who Aurora is. Navira explains that Aurora was extraordinary like her, able to connect with everything around her, but sadly, she is gone forever. She reveals that when she first met Aurora, they became friends, and from that moment, Aurora shared all her secrets with her. Navira then shocks Sophia by revealing that Aurora was her mother, and when she became pregnant, she hid it from Patrick, Sophia's human father, to protect him. She transformed Pedro and Iris from beings of nature into human form so they could raise and protect Sophia. Sophia asks if the Phoenix family is like hers, others. Navira says there is no way to truly understand their nature, but assures her there are many other beings like them living among humans. She explains that nature is governed by two forces, water and fire. She tells Sophia that her mother could control both, water and fire, and that she was a being of immense power. Sophia realizes she is the daughter of an extraordinary sacred being. Navira explains that she is also the daughter of an ordinary human, which makes her unique, with an energy far stronger than anyone else's. If she learns to control it, she will be capable of incredible things. She warns Sophia that the Phoenix family means her harm and urges her to listen to Pedro and Iris and leave the city immediately. Navira tells her that when Aurora left, she grieved so deeply that her tears pierced through rock. Sophia goes to that very stone, speaking as if she is communicating with Aurora, thanking her for everything she did for her. She feels it is the right moment to make her choice, now that she finally knows who she is. Meanwhile, Raphael meets with Lucio, the blacksmith who owns the workshop they rented, demanding information about Navira because he wants to find her. Lucio refuses to help and threatens to expose the truth about their sect and the strange rituals they perform. Enraged, Raphael uses his power against him. Gale intervenes, trying to save Lucio and calling for an ambulance, but Lucio urges him to flee, saying he can see Gale is not like the others. Lucio dies, and Gale, devastated, goes to speak with Sophia. She rejects him, knowing he had been using her and chasing her all along just to reach Aurora. She tells him she will never trust him again. When Gale tries to get close to her, Sophia uses her power against him, keeping him away. He finally manages to convince her that he lied to Raphael only to protect her and that he has decided to escape, but wanted to say goodbye before leaving. Sophia is shocked and asks where he will go. Gale tells her he will run to a faraway place where his brothers can't find him, because if he disappears, they won't be able to summon the Lord of Fire. Sophia then asks if the Lord of Fire is the one who turned them into human form. Gale admits he can't give her more details, because he needs to leave before his brothers catch him. Sophia begins blaming him for luring her in and delivering her to them. But Gale explains that Raphael committed a terrible crime, and he can't trust him anymore. He insists that he must flee, because he fears Raphael will hurt her. Sophia refuses to let him leave until he explains why they are chasing her. Gale tells her that their true goal is to reach Aurora, and Raphael decided to hunt Sophia because he believes she could help them fulfill the mission given to them by the Lord of Fire. He confesses he always wanted to tell her who he really was, but he couldn't. As he says goodbye, Sophia remembers her feelings for him and decides to run away with him. That night, Sophia and Gale arrive at a remote place. Gale asks why she trusted him, and Sophia tells him she's used to trusting her feelings, and when she listened to him, she felt he was telling the truth. Gale admits that from the very first time he saw her in the forest, he was drawn to her, even though he had never felt that way before. Sophia tells him she feels the same, though his reaction at the party had hurt her. Gale apologizes, saying that night he was confused and didn't know how to act. The next morning, Sophia receives a message from Diana, telling her that everyone knows she ran away with Gale. Gale tries to calm her down, telling her he intends to continue his journey with her. They begin making plans about where to run, what jobs they might take, and how they will live. And they are both filled with joy and excitement over their dreams of the future. Just then, Sophia receives another message from Diana, saying she will come to them and bring food. Gale tells her he'll go gather firewood. Moments later, Sophia is horrified to see Mikhail, and we learn that he and Raphael followed Diana and tracked Sophia to her hiding place. They begin pressuring her to reveal Gale's whereabouts, since their powers are worthless without him. At the same time, Sophia's family is tracking her footprints through the forest, trying to find her. Pedro suggests they split up, so each of them can search a different area. Suddenly, they encounter Raphael, who attacks, and Pedro clashes with him until both fall unconscious. A fierce battle erupts between the Phoenix family and Pedro's family, with each member using their powers. Meanwhile, Sophia struggles to break free from her restraints to escape. At that moment, she hears her mother's voice and realizes her family is in danger. Gale enters, untying her and urging her to run quickly because he saw his brothers in the forest. Sophia refuses, saying she can't escape and leave her family in peril. She suggests he run with Diana instead, but Gale, upset, tells her he cannot leave without her. Sophia explains that she must go back to save her family. Before she leaves, Gale warns her that her power is stronger than the three brothers combined because water can kill them easily. Sophia rushes into the forest and sees Raphael and Mikhail surrounding her family with fire. She steps in to save them, and the brothers attack her with flames. Sophia confronts them head-on. Pedro tries to intervene to protect his family, but Raphael strikes him down, seemingly killing him. In that moment, a single tear falls from Sophia's eye, causing the ground to quake beneath them. water bursts from the earth, extinguishing the fire in Raphael and Mikhail's bodies and ultimately destroying them. Then Pedro regains consciousness, and the family rejoices that he is still alive. Sometime later, Sophia returns to her life with her loving family, who continue to protect her. She finds a letter, and when she asks her father, he tells her he found it in the mailbox. Sophia opens it, becomes upset by its contents, and decides to tear it apart. 6 months later, she goes back to school. We see her holding the medal Gail had given her face marked with sadness. Diana walks in and suggests dyeing her hair to help her escape the depression she's been living in for months. Sophia replies that such an experiment on her hair might only make her feel worse, then walks out, meeting Taku and greeting him warmly. Later, Sophia is seen walking through the city before heading to meet her family. Navira is there too, scolding her for not visiting in so long. Sophia apologizes, saying she's been busy with schoolwork. She then asks her parents for permission to take a walk alone. She heads to the lake, only to be shocked when she spots Gail watching her. Curious, she decides to follow him to discover why he's been missing all this time. She trails him into the forest, but suddenly he vanishes, as if he were never there. Then, a mysterious man appears before her. As she approaches, she is startled to hear him call her by name. Sophia asks if they know each other, and he replies no, but they will when the time is right. He introduces himself as Kieran, her uncle, the Lord of Fire. Sophia is stunned to realize that Gail had deliberately lured her once again into a trap for Kieran. And with that, Season 1 of the series ends. If you'd like to see Season 2, let me know in the comments. Goodbye.